At 0730 D+2, the 4th Division jumped off in a coordinated attack supported by fire initially from the 2nd Division. This venture also received air and naval support, as well as continuous artillery support. Movement was slow because of stiff enemy resistance. At 0920, the 2nd Division launched an attack in its zone of action, extended its beachhead and center lines, and by noon was situated 400 yards east of Lake Susupi. After 1200, the 2nd Division, assisted by tanks, advanced more rapidly. Throughout the day, while the 2nd and 4th Divisions hacked out a larger beachhead and extended their front lines, the balance of the 27th Division was in process of landing. 24th Corps Artillery continued in the process of landing until dark, but succeeded in beaching only 2/3 of one battalion. At 1000 on D+3, the 2nd and 4th Divisions, as well as the 27th, which had moved up, launched a coordinated attack toward Aslito Airport. With the exception of a pocket of defense between the two Marine divisions, the 2nd and 4th secured the 03 line. At the same time, the 27th slipped in to capture the Aslito Airport. Naval construction engineers commenced work on the strip at once. The first 4 days of fighting had gained for us the complete southwestern portion of Saipan, vital Aslito Airport, and more than 2,000 enemy casualties. Our forward line was as follows. Almost simultaneously with United States landings on Saipan, the enemy determined to contest the issue with all the naval and air power at his disposal. Accordingly, the movement of his major fleet units from southern Philippine waters was reported by American submarines on 15 June. On 19-20 June, units of the Japanese fleet were in contact with the United States Fifth Fleet in a 2-day running air battle west of the Marianas, which marked the first major encounter of the Japanese and American fleets since the fighting in waters off Guadalcanal. In this engagement, the enemy lost 5 ships sunk, 2 probably sunk, and 11 damaged, in addition to 428 carrier-based aircraft destroyed, before breaking off contact on the evening of 20 June. Chief effect of the naval air action, concluded with the engagement of 19-20 June, was to reduce to the minimum the enemy's capabilities of intervening effectively in the Saipan operation by sea and air. 2nd and 4th Divisions, as well as the 27th Infantry Division, launched attacks with the coming of daylight on D+4. This combined attack drove the enemy to 300 yards beyond the 03 line. At 1700, one battery of 155-millimeter guns was preparing to register and commenced firing on Tinian. At the same time, a serious supply situation was alleviated when several transports of the Northern Task Force returned. All lines were improved, particularly the boundary between the 2nd and 4th Divisions, where an enemy pocket was wiped out. During the night of D+4, enemy activity was reported in the vicinity of Purple Beaches. A DD illuminated and engaged this area by fire. At 0900 the next day, all divisions were ordered to attack for the purpose of driving to the eastern coast of Saipan and destroying the enemy troops within the southern portion of the island. Rocket-loaded planes joined the attack. Enemy positions were softened up by intensive strafing and rocket shelling. The 2nd and 4th Divisions were assigned to secure the 04 line. The 27th attacked southward toward Naputan Point. By 1616, D+5, the 04 line was secured by the 2nd and 4th Divisions, and instructions were issued to occupy the most suitable ground for launching a continuance of the attack when ordered. The 27th Division continued to advance slowly against the enemy, who had taken up positions in caves and pillboxes situated in extremely rugged terrain. At the conclusion of this period, the beachhead had been extended to a line which secured the entire southern portion of the island, except for Naputan Point. The enemy forces remaining in the Naputan area were thus trapped and cut off by the 27th. The way was then clear for a coordinated northward movement. The next 3 days settled down to a vicious, yard-by-yard fighting to clean out enemy pockets of resistance, especially on Naputan Point, and straightening out of the lines. Around 21:45 on 20 June, D+5, in the vicinity of Beach Green 2, one of our gasoline dumps exploded, reasons unknown. Fire spread to ammunition dumps, which resulted in the loss of an undetermined amount of small arms and ammunition. 3,000 yards of Naputan still remained in enemy hands. Progress was slow due to the terrain, which was infested with occupied caves. This called for mopping up action by flamethrowers, shape charges, and grenades. A good number of enemy weapons had been captured, many of which we were beginning to use against the enemy. In particular was this true with anti-aircraft artillery weapons. 15 tons of mortar ammunition captured on 21 June was fired back at the enemy through our 81mm mortars.
From 0115 till about 0500 on D+7, Saipan was subjected to an air raid by Japanese planes. 13 500-pound bombs were dropped in the area of the 1st Battalion, 14th Marines. Casualties were 1 killed and 4 wounded.
At 0600, preceded by an intense artillery preparation of 10 minutes fire by 18 battalions of field artillery, the 2nd and 4th Marine Divisions jumped off and quickly captured the 05 line. After the first hour, enemy resistance and terrain slowed down the advance.